Hello, Greek students, and welcome to week 4 in our class. This is what we have going on this week. First, we are going to introduce 2 new Greek verb systems. Both of these are going to be past tense verbs, the imperfect active indicative and the aorist active indicative. And these 2 different past tense verbs are going to look at the action differently. So remember, in the present tense and in the future tense, there's no difference in Greek. There's nothing that differentiates ongoing action. So in the present tense, I run is the simple tense. It's viewed, the act of running is viewed as a whole, versus I am running. The act of running is ongoing in present time. You can sort of think of it as a movie reel playing before you. The same is true of the future. I will run, I will be running. There's no differentiation in Greek between those 2 kinds of action. They're going to look exactly the same, and you can translate the present and future tense with either continuous action or with simple action in English. So it's sort of up to you in the act of translation and based on a number of factors, most prominently context, which is the best decision for you. When it comes to the past tense, Greek does differentiate between ongoing action and simple action. So the imperfect active indicative is going to refer to ongoing action. I was running. It's looking back on past time as the action as continuing or going on for a period of time. I think of this as 2 points in which there's sort of a squiggly line between, and the action is viewed as ongoing between those 2 points. Whereas the aorist active indicative, the action is viewed as a whole. It's one large point in time where I look back on it and think of the action as having occurred in past time as a whole. So I ran. So once again, I was running is going to be our sort of equivalent to the imperfect tense, and I ran is going to be the equivalent to the aorist tense. And what we're going to see is that there's different forms for the imperfect and the aorist. So as far as memorization goes for this week, there are 2 different things for you to memorize. The first is the secondary active suffixes, which are going to be used for both the imperfect and the aorist, and then also the imperfect indicative paradigm of the to-be verb a me. So your as far as memorization goes, all of your energy is focused on lesson 7 of black for this week. And in lesson 8 of black, what we're going to get is a little bit more prepositions. We've had prepositions that take one case in Greek so far. Things are going to get a little bit more complicated insofar as we're introducing prepositions that can take 2 or 3 cases following them. And we'll talk about that in the lecture. But in short, what that means is that the same word, the same Greek preposition can mean a number of different things depending on what case follows it. So that's going to complicate prepositions a little bit, but the good news is that when you learn prepositions as vocabulary, you learn them with the case associated with them. So on the flashcards, you'll find the preposition plus case, and then on the back of it, the answer or what it means in English. And so you're sort of memorizing in the vocabulary what prepositions mean when they take different cases as their objects. So in order to get at these objectives, what we're going to complete as always, is 2 different homework assignments, and the homework assignments deserve comment because they're a little bit different than they have been so far in this course. The first one is a passage that I'm not asking you to translate, but I'm asking you to answer grammatical questions about. So that's going to take some it's going to take some translation skills for you to be able to answer those questions, but the purpose of the passage and your work in it is not just translation, or that's not the primary goal of engaging this assignment. Rather, the goal is to really continue to sort of hammer down those grammatical foundations. So the reason for having an assignment that is not primarily translation-based, but is more grammar question-based, is to do that, to lay the foundation, but also because it sort of mimics how you might engage the Greek New Testament in your future, in ministry, in teaching, and in preaching, wherein you probably won't regularly be going back to a New Testament passage and translating the entire thing in preparation for a sermon. Rather, you'll probably go back and look at it and sort of notice features about certain words or about certain syntax that might provide insight for your teaching and for your preaching. And so this is sort of a way of mimicking that, getting you to think about the syntax of a passage, in this case, a non-New Testament passage, a created passage called The Hungry Angels. And then the other homework assignment is something that I have never done before. And I want to be very upfront with you about that, that I haven't done this kind of assignment in this class or in any other Greek class. So you get the joy and the woe of being the first class to sort of try it out. And that being the case, I want you to be able to have some kind of support systems for this assignment. So I've created 5 different forums. And what the assignment is, it is a Greek crossword puzzle. So I give you English hints and you fill in the respective Greek word in the crossword puzzle. And the point of that is to get you to sort of reverse the direction of your thinking. Whereas normally in this course, we've been thinking from Greek into English, thinking from English into Greek. And this sort of reverses the neurological pathways of your associations and hopefully solidifies that, so that when you go back and are looking in the grammar for some of these answers and you're looking at the vocabulary list, sort of when you find the answer and you recognize that you sort of knew it, but in the opposite direction, that it really solidifies your learning in that respect. But because this is experimental and because I'm honestly not entirely sure how long this should or will take you, I've provided these 5 different discussion forums where you can go and sort of work together on the crossword. And you can sort of decide how to do that, whether it might be a matter of sort of divvying up the work. I'm okay with you doing that. Or it might be a matter of going in and saying, you know, hey, I have questions on these ones. Has anyone figured those out? And I'm okay with your discussion forum groups turning in the same work. Obviously, each individual will want to submit a separate assignment, but if you're submitting the same crossword puzzle, that's okay, so long as you are collaborating with one another and individuals aren't just going into those forums and sort of just going in there and pulling answers, not doing the work. And I don't expect that anyone would do that. And so the last thing to say about this is that I anticipate this would take you, should not take you more than an hour and a half. If you find that it is being a big time suck and that you're kind of pushing beyond an hour and a half or 2 hours of working on this, I want you to stop and turn in what you have. That I don't want you to spend all kinds of time on this. The purpose of it is both to solidify your learning and also to do some review. So you'll find that there is material not from just the lessons from this week, but previous lessons as well, to sort of shore up the things that you've learned so far in this course. But again, I don't want it to be a time suck. So you have my permission as the professor to submit something incomplete if it is taking up too much of your time. So know that. Next we have, and as always, we have a vocabulary quiz. As a reminder, vocabulary quizzes focus on the material for this particular week, but they also bring in a couple of words from past lessons. So you should be sort of regularly reviewing the old lessons as well, while focusing your energy on what's going on this week. And then lastly is our grammar quiz. So once again, for memorization purposes, you'll be asked to reproduce those secondary suffixes, and you will be asked to reproduce forms of the imperfect indicative of a me. With respect to the other things from the lessons for this week and from the lectures, you'll be asked multiple choice questions, whether it be about grammatical concepts or about different forms. So that is what we've got going on this week. I'm looking forward to see what you make of these 2 different homework assignments and hearing how they go for you.